A very warm welcome. You're joining us tonight at HydePark on AdaDerana 24. Tonight, I thought of talking about laws and regulations as incidents centering the breach of law, regulations, and some important decisions being made in Sri Lanka pertaining to policy and the way forward are the center of attention. I've invited to our studios human rights activist, an attorney at law and former professor of Jamaica, Dr. Prathiba Mahanamahewa. A very warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
Of course, you're not a new face to Derana. You've been featured many times, but tonight I thought we'd talk about the recent incidents. Yesterday itself we saw Parliament passing a resolution in terms of removing a chairman of an independent commission. And at the same time, we're talking about the Prevention of Terrorism Act. And then about cyberbullying to abuses, grave abuses of children, the underaged. And a parliamentarian who walks past the airport and who was seen in Parliament yesterday after being fined some 7.5 million for a crime that would have be otherwise seriously dealt with if it was an individual. But let's start talking off with you about the current laws and regulations, the situation in Sri Lanka, to begin this conversation.
Yeah, now government also planning for several law reforms. For example, Ministry of Justice, certain areas laws are lacking, insolvency laws, as well as they want to come up with laws which protect citizens from terrorism and other areas. So that is where we have 1979 Prevention of Terrorism Temporary Act. Resolution 51/5, which passed in October 2022, United Nations Human Rights Council. They clearly said several times to abolish this law. As a respect for that and also protecting, they are going to introduce a new Counter-Terrorism Act. The bill was actually gazetted. And also remember this United Nations Human Rights Council, we have totally rejected the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He has rejected that, but that is not enough. What is the backup plan for reconciliation, reconstruction, rebuilding? All these are very, very important. So the thing where the main law which came for criticism, and also the minister finally withdrawn or postponed that and asked public opinion, public suggestion. That is one thing very important. If a bill, before introducing to the House, you must go for what? Public consultation. But public consultation was done for a new constitution, 2015 to 2019. Enormous money, US aid, lot of countries they supported, but nothing, not a piece of paper even submitted. So this is where in vain in this country. For the law reforms, US aid has given a big money. But are we accountable? What is the progress? And now what is happening? So even World Bank, they need new law reforms. That is very important. Liberalization of labor laws, liberalization of investment laws. Those are some of the key issues where the president go and invite other countries to come and invest. When the investors are coming, we must have some liberal and one place, one umbrella place for the investment. That is where labor laws, investment laws, dispute resolution, international arbitration, all should come under one umbrella like Australia. So that's why I am thinking most of the laws you can amalgamate, you can combine to facilitate, to support foreign investment because we are lacking those areas. And also we are suffering much because we need dollars at the moment. How to promote tourism, how we are going ahead. So the main question I have, this Counter-Terrorism Act bill, which going to introduce. So CTA, now PTA we are going to abolish now.
Right.
When we abolish PTA in Indeewari, what will happen? We need a new law. Every country, there are 193 UN members. All the countries, they have a terrorism prevention law. It can be counter-terrorism, it can be prevention of terrorism, it can be unlawful activities act, several names you can use. So which model we are going to take? Now which was introduced, about to introduce, the gazetted one, highly criticized. So as a respect, the postponed. But now, how many public or how many citizens in any language, whether they have given suggestion to the Ministry of Justice, and the minister now come up with a draft, right? Now, I will tell the main criticism. There are 4 areas. United Nations, what they say, you must protect fundamental human rights. Protect, promote, and respect. If that is not coming under the CTA, then another session we have to suffer in this June as well as in October. They will pass another 52 resolution against it.
As per the draft, what is your understanding? Are we addressing these areas that are required universally?
Yeah, certain areas I agree. That is where when a suspect for terrorist activities, when he arrested, when he give a confession to the police, earlier to the police means about the rank of ASP, which admitted against him as evidence. But now it has been abolished. That is one thing good. And the time period which keep him in the suspicion, that also reduced. But one thing I want to tell you, there are 4 areas we must think. Arrest, definition of terrorism, time period, as well as the trial. So those 4, I also have some reservations. Now,
most of the criticism, sorry to interrupt, Dr. Mahanamahewa, most of the criticism is stemming from the fact that the definition of terrorism is broader, where anyone could be arrested. Anyone who protests to those who actually engage in extremist or terrorist activities. So how do we define terrorism in a country, if you may draw some comparison from overseas?
Well, there are 4 types of definitions. One, United Nations Security Council. In 2002, they defined what you mean by terrorism. And thereafter, European Union also having a definition for terrorism. And then you see India, France, as well as other countries. I will draw up this definition now. Now, if you come to United Nations Standard Security Council, now the problem is this. For UN, he may be a liberal fighter for you, but he may be a terrorist for me. So where you draw the line? That is the biggest problem. So even United Nations, they don't have a convention against prevention of terrorism. But there are certain areas where money laundering and supporting, suppression and funding for terrorism, there are certain laws. So let's come, what is the UN definition? This is not UN definition, this is a resolution in the Security Council which came up for a standard acceptance. One person or a group of people, when they come with serious criminal offenses or destroying the property, public property, murder, as well as other things, keeping people as hostage. Likewise, they also have a broader definition. So you have to see which one we are going to do. Now, European Union also, they have one definition. That is going a little bit further away. And if you see UK, their Prevention of Terrorism Act or Counter-Terrorism Act, that also certain incidents they have highlighted.
In these advanced democracies, as we call, how do they define the acts of vandalism of public property or state properties and disruption of public order? Where does this fall?
Yes, that's very, very important. Now, before that, I will tell, in India, they have Unlawful Activities Act. Under this Unlawful Activities Act, they have defined what is terrorism. Even any person going against the state, sovereignty, as well as territorial integrity, they have defined. That definition I saw in the CTA definition bill, but still we can restrict a little bit. Now you are asking how to draw the definition between people, those who are expressing their ideas, those who go for demonstration. Are they terrorists? Actually, they are not terrorists. Now, what we have to do, we have to get the motivation of that. Now, let's see a group of people, they are having a demonstration. That demonstration further, if that extend and they go for vandalism, what will happen? The best example, 2005 United Kingdom. From one SMS, everyone gathered. Where? To London. And they start demonstration, they start firing the buildings. And one by one, the state vandalism started. Immediately they declared and arrested. So how to draw the line? Peaceful demonstration, well accepted.
So does this mean, is the concern that the current the counterterrorism bill the draft, it includes provisions which would actually arrest those who are demonstrating rather than those who are vandalizing state property. Is there provisions as such?
Yes, that we need certain type of clarification or explanation. Now let's see the penal code, certain examples they have given to explain that offense. So that's why we need. Now let's see, if you see people who are peacefully demonstrating, they are not terrorists. They are not terrorists. But actually there can be certain areas where they go for violent activities. Then whether they have that motivation. No. That's why we have to see it. So peaceful demonstration, how they do it. They take placards, they take slogans against the state. No, that is accepted. There are Supreme Court cases where even reasonably or even peacefully, even a standard way, you can criticize rather than defamation. So state, that is, vandalism is totally different. Someone can push them into that. So innocent people, they go and start this demonstration. They want to show their anger against prices are higher, increasing, and other things are happening, and no freedom of expression. Now that's all right. Now there are a lot of cases. Now if you take, there was a case where this Gunawardena, Vivian Gunawardena versus Hector Pereira, OIC police station. This is in 1985. In that case, what happened? They came for a peaceful demonstration. And thereafter, they were not allowed to pass temple trees. Then they stopped there, and Vivian Gunawardena asked from the police and made a request, let us go one by one. That was not allowed. But thereafter, police beaten. Then they were started fighting. But anyway, finally, it was decided as a peaceful demonstration. Now the problem where even that, how many government establishments are there? High security zones. They were not allowed. Even in Canada, you can go for demonstration, but separate places are there. So the government should provide. Even United Nations Human Rights Council complex near that, without obstructing any public, without obstructing transportation, you can have it. But Sri Lanka, sometimes it goes little bit beyond. Then you obstruct the freedom of movement. You block the road and go. No. There should be some way you can have your march, but not to violate others' rights also. But they are not terrorists. But the question you asked, yes, that provision little bit amend. Or even that provision exclusive, so inclusive should be given. And it can be explained when you are going to pass this law in future, which is not there in India. India demonstrations are there, but demonstration which they go for violent and destroy the public property, destroy public life, that can be accepted. No. People go for a peaceful demonstration and they go and kill someone. Then what will happen? Then it is come under UN definition.
How punishable is it in India?
Sorry?
How punishable is it in
India?
Yes,
India actually, if you are promoting, if you are involved, they put 20 years imprisonment if that is proved. So therefore what will happen? There were certain cases. In those cases, you have to prove with evidence. Now Sri Lanka, we have a very old evidence ordinance. That is the biggest problem. But 1995 Evidence Amendment Act is there. That is only for what? Only for audio, video, visual, graphic, CCTV. Right. So Prevention of Terrorism Act, one thing is there, keeping them for a longer period is a violation. That we have to understand.
But I think fundamental
right, because as soon as possible, you have to, release them. Now, another problem. When a person arrested for suspect of a terrorist, what is the next stage? Then police produce him to magistrate court, or even thereafter they take a detention order for 90 days. That time period varies from country to country. How many days you need to investigate him? Under the investigation stages, who do the investigation? Police. He must have access to a magistrate. That is where judicial intervention is very important. Let's see France. In France, there are investigative judges. In Sri Lanka, we don't have investigative judges. So after 3 days, they inform Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission, and they can come and access and see whether his rights are protected, and you must produce him to a magistrate. So likewise, even you keep for a long time period. what will happen? It should be protect his fundamental right, and he should be monitored or surveilled by a magistrate. That should be there, which is happening in most of the countries. So he may be directly funding for terrorists, or he may be involved, he may be a leader, but his right to life is there. Now see, in USA, where is this torture house? It is in Guantanamo Bay, South Cuba. Lot of ISIS suspect, Taliban suspect, they all keep. And still, United Nations Human Rights Council, I don't know whether they will pass a resolution or they will go again. No, nothing. But if another country happening, that is totally different. Now the biggest problem in Myanmar, even in Sudan you may have seen, they're in the top place. So what I want to tell, in the investigation, you must have at least set up in future only to hear these terrorist cases. That is number one, High Court. And thereafter, with the emerging technologies there, as well as you can use a lot of type of these communication new systems, whether you are naming him or whether you are releasing him, that must be decided. But anyway, under investigation, you should not keep a terrorist at least for a long time period. You must file a case, or otherwise you will release under bail. So that is number one, investigative judges are there. Other countries also, they keep, in United Kingdom, they keep 28 days. But after that, you can extend that time period, but you must have strong evidence. If it is only, so Attorney General, they request and go ahead with that. But the problem, when 2005, the attack came, people said not 28 days. Keep them for more than 90. So this is where in the parliament also they are discussing. Something must face this problem. If they face this problem, they say change the law. Law should be changed time to time. Law and justice is different.
Sure. You're talking about changes to law reforms that we're talking about, but Sri Lanka is also challenged here to keep in line with international standards.
Definitely.
While also ensuring and bringing laws that suit the country's situation, Sri Lanka's socio-economic situation as well. We've faced the Easter Sunday attacks in 2019. I remember speaking to you then about legal reforms required to identify extremism in the country. In recent times too, we saw a big ha-ho in terms of a pastor who had made certain comments. And we saw how people were gathering. But let's see if Sri Lanka has moved forward, Dr. Mahanamahewa, from the 2019 events. Have we brought sufficient regulations here covering faith, religion and spirituality, where people are free to practice their faith while also not discriminate other religious beliefs or faith?
Well, Indeewari, it's a great question. What I want to tell, now let's see 1978 Constitution of Sri Lanka. Article 10 very clearly say it's an absolute right to religion, freedom of religion, as well as right to conscience. All these things are there. That means it's an absolute right. No one can obstruct under any type of restriction. It is not there. So freedom is given. It's a fundamental human right of a person. Chapter 3, Article 10 very clearly given. Now you are asking, you can observe your religion, you are having a faith, but hate speech or criticizing or extremist or fundamentalist, where you draw the line. So one religion, I am not telling greater than another religion. All religions, one objective, what is that? To keep a disciplined society. Do good things.
To promote peace.
That's right. All the religions. It can be Orthodox religions also. Nowadays, Orthodox religions are, I don't want to name that, they are actually spreading in the world. So to gather people, you should not say defamatory statement. To gather more and more to become popular person or popular pastor, you should not say that.
But what is the law situation?
Yeah, the law situation I am going to explain now. There is an Act 2007, International Civil and Political Rights Convention Act. ICCPR Act is there. In that act, what you can do, you can basically question him, you can arrest him. That is up to the police investigating and with the guidance given by the Honorable Attorney General. So you must investigate fully. You know one YouTuber, that YouTuber was saying something against Sri Dalada Malika. What happened? For that small comment, he was arrested, he was kept, and he was filed under ICCPR Act. Public pardon he made, public apology he made. But the problem, what type of conditions we have put. So this type of incident is against the reconciliation of the country. So there is no reconciliation if you say like that.
I want to clarify again, Doctor. Are you saying we have sufficient laws but we're not using
Yes,
it to the maximum?
we
Or are you
have.
saying we have to expand our laws covering extremism and
At the moment, what are the laws here are sufficient for such a statement. But certain laws for extremism, now terrorism and extremism are different.
Yes.
That is different. But still extremism go very high level, it can convert to terrorism. That's why we need some type of act. It can be Counter-Terrorism Act, it can be Unlawful Activity Act, it can be Prevention of Terrorism Act, but subject to international standards. That is very important. So therefore extremism also can cover under ICCPR 2007. There are certain provisions on that. But the problem, if it is coming under online, the laws are not sufficient. That is the biggest problem. We have 2007 Computer Crime Act, we have other type of laws, but it is not sufficient to combat. But India, they have. But most of the time, your freedom of religion is there. So you can exercise your freedom of religion, but respecting other religions too, because I have a
to add to that, to add to that, Doctor, like the spread of extremist religious beliefs or beliefs that go against the usual practices we see in society. What kind of laws do we have in Sri Lanka? Because this came to light, and this is something we discussed after the Easter Sunday attacks, and I feel like it has faded now, and there hasn't been discussion surrounding it. So do we have sufficient laws covering that aspect of the spread of extremist ideologies in Sri Lanka?
Spreading extremist ideology in Sri Lanka, we have 2007 ICCPR Act. Number 2, that is the Penal Code of Sri Lanka. As well as if you see it is a fundamental right violation, then you can go under Constitution of Sri Lanka. Right. And also there are defamatory. Sri Lanka, the Defamatory Act or defamatory law is not passed by Parliament, but is coming under law of delicts. You can find. But it is not sufficient to cover up all these things. The punishment as well as the investigations, how you conduct and how you are going to analyze this statement. All these things are very important. At the moment, we have certain laws. When Sepaleka Nayaka hijacked the aircraft, they didn't have a law offences against aircraft.
Sure.
But now we have certain types. So I mean ICCPR Act is the best one to even after a statement, you have to take a statement from him, because natural justice is also very important. So give opportunity for the person to make a statement, and thereafter investigation done by the police and CID with the instruction of the Attorney General, they will do their best. And even I have seen government and the other parties, even the President has instructed to conduct an impartial inquiry on this.
Speaking about the President himself, the recent spate of incidents, violence and abuse against children, the underaged. The President said severe action will be taken, laws will be introduced to counter and apprehend perpetrators. This spate of violence and abuse against children, how long do you think, I mean, don't you think we can counter that with our existing laws, because this is nothing new? We saw these abuses some time ago in the past as well.
Definitely.
And we were talking about strong laws, but we failed again in that aspect. So how can we mobilize the current resources, laws, regulations to tighten the situation?
Before that, I like to explain not only the laws. Sri Lanka is a collectivist country, and most of the children, who is the guardian? Parents or adopted parents, or the society must look. So we can't only look laws and strict that. On the other hand, we have to see the culture and their society and the responsibility of parents, guardians, and the whole society. Okay, let's talk about laws. 1990, International Child Rights Convention When ratified and signed by Sri Lanka, 1995, they changed the penal code when former Justice Minister G.L. Pires was there. And they have introduced a fine for child abuse as well as damages and finally a strict sentences, imprisonment. Why these laws were strict? To stop child abuse. But that laws actually not representing the society. That is the biggest problem. So the law is basically there. That is 1995 Penal Code Amendment. Specifically, they have introduced certain new laws to protect. The biggest problem is online. Now, if you talk offline laws and online laws, now, if you see United States, they have online child protection law, very strict, even a liberal country. Now, in Sri Lanka, we have Obscene Publication Act. And also Sri Lanka Penal Code, later they amended, and 2006 they introduced kidnapping, trafficking, child trafficking. 7 years rigorous imprisonment. And then later they amended the penal code once again and introduced Obscene Publication Act. You have a child protection authority. Every police station there is a women and child care desk. All these institutions are there. The biggest problem what?
But how effective are these?
That's right. Effective means implementation. Now let's see a child abuse case. At least it will take a long time if it is against a poor female. When it comes to High Court, then her marriage time period. So she don't want to come, she will withdraw. At least with 6 months. One of the former Attorney General, he want to finish all these cases, investigation and even file in the case within 6 months.
Will remind his name.
Yes, Honorable Palit Fernando was the Attorney General. So these are some actions taken at that time. That is very, very important. So time period, all the culprits are released after that, out of bail. So the society will see, even in Australia, they have a blacklisted, like IRC. So Sri Lanka, they are freely moving. I can remember one of the case which was involved, the IP very hardly arrested that politician in down south, celebrating that he has done 100 child abuse. Finally, he was acquitted.
But
this is no, I am telling, this is where all these culprits, they escape. Now, who is going to punish this finally? That's why the society also become violent. What I want to tell, you must have a special child protection courts, as well as separate section for child abuse. There is a section in Attorney General Department, as far as I know, and also the proceedings, it must be closed. So open doesn't matter. Try to complete that case as early as possible.
Because if we do not, we're going to victimize the victim, the child further, and that child is going to be stigmatized in society, while the actual perpetrator walks freely, as you said.
But there is a law. 2015 Victims and Witnesses Protection Act. He or she will be protected.
But that doesn't happen here.
No, there is authority. So the law enforcement authorities are there. You are saying not happening. So we have gone, we must have a big conference to discuss the laws, how to implement. So Sri Lanka problem, we have the law, investigation, implementation, procedural part, there can be some.
Can't Parliament do something about this? Maybe bring in a special resolution like we do for every other instance, or bring in special laws. Maybe Parliament can get together. Is that something we can do as per our constitution?
Theoretically, you are correct. But practically, they are looking the future elections. So it's very hard to come for a amalgamation, opposition as well as the government party.
But
let's give an example.
I'll
give an example. Now in United States, when they had a heavier problem of these loans and all, Democratic and Republican for a shorter period, they got together. That is the best example I can give. So yes, they can do it. The opposition also ready to support. If some not active, proactive. Parliament must proactive, but they discuss various different things. So there must be one shop store. Everything coming in one. So the network is very important. But Parliament...
if you can clarify when you say one-stop shop, is it in terms of legal...
yes. Now let's see. How many institutions are there protecting child rights? How many NGOs are there? Why can't you come for a public, private, NGO, one-shop standard, Child Protection Authority, Sri Lanka Police, then the NGOs, probation and child care. Every divisional secretary there is a probation officer. Why can't they come to one stand? And the complaint goes, CPA, they do whatever they, police, they go. You know, I was in one committee of this Child Protection Authority. How to admit this digital evidence? It took more than 6 months to prepare the report. Finally, CPA say they want to do it. Police say they want to do it. Finally, they started a video recording of victim child in Ragama, and the cases are now going. One thing, we are not united to combat these type of offences in Sri Lanka. Even lawyer community also different. I mean, lawyers can appear for anyone, that is their fundamental right. But you must have some legal aid for those things also. The whole society and the religion, if they have one stand, then we can stop many things.
We'll take a short break here at Hyde Park. We are in conversation with Dr. Prathiba Mahanamahewa, human rights activist, attorney at law, and a former professor in Jamaica. We'll be back after this short break. To stay with us. Welcome back. We're in conversation with Dr. Prathiba Mahanamahewa here at Hyde Park. Dr. Mahanamahewa, we've spoke about some important aspects pertaining to lives of children, individuals, and Sri Lanka's legal system. But moving ahead, the privileges and rights of a select crowd, that's the 225 in Parliament. Now, this has come under scrutiny and question in recent times with recent incidents. We saw a parliamentarian who was arrested at the BIA, the Bandaranaike International Airport, for carrying gold with him, being released with a fine of 7.5 million. And he was seen in Parliament yesterday during a vote to oust the chairman of PUCSL. So I'd like to talk about, we'll keep the independent commissions aside, but first, what are the privileges of parliamentarians? Doesn't this set a precedent to individuals who walk through the airport as well?
Yes, Indeewari, this is the second incident. Before that also, another parliamentarian representing Colombo Central, I think, same VIP lounge he used, and he tried to escape. But finally, he was expelled from the party, as well as he lost his seat. Now another incident very recently coming, that incident very, very clear, he misused his powers. Powers means basically, now he came with VIP lodge, thanks to Sri Lanka Custom, thanks to Sri Lanka Immigration and Immigration, they did their best. Now this type of public service in Sri Lanka in future, I think we can stop a lot of corruption activities. So this is the best example, public servants given for the society as even for the parliamentarian. Rule of law. Everyone under rule of law. So this parliamentarian was arrested. And thereafter he paid a fine and escaped. No, that is not the case. Exchange Control Act. Can you bring that type of money to Sri Lanka? Why can't you start investigation? You have to disclose whatever you have. Now, even you can, if I take some bag somewhere else, I can't say, even another person can take heroin and say someone put into my bag. No, if it is in your possession, you are liable. You take something to Singapore, in the Singapore airport, they will ask who packed the baggage, who helped you. You have to disclose. So likewise, they may have asked these questions. Now, what will happen? Can you escape with that? No, definitely, this is an offense. One side, he may try to say, these are my parliament, I am a parliamentarian, I have parliament privileges. 1958, Parliament Privileges Act. Only you are saying certain things in the parliament, you are protected. Other than you have seen Honorable S.B. Dissanayaka's case, whatever he said outside, it was a defamatory contempt of court case. So likewise, what will happen here, the investigation must done. If another person were arrested, they will keep a long time period, they will question him, and then not a fine. It's a violation. So, two things he had violated. Number one, misuse the VIP lounge and his facilities. Number two, Exchange Control Act he had violated. Number three, Parliament parliamentarians, they have prepared a code of conduct. That code of conduct, breach, start investigation. Otherwise, another person will come like this and he will pay the fine and go. Okay, he may be remanded for a certain period. He can go for a fundamental right case. So don't take this as a precedent. As early as possible, any standard you can. But I think it's happening at the moment. The public officers, the custom officers, they did their best. Now it's with the police and then it go with the courts. And the other question now you asked, what happened?
Yes, I also want to understand the linkages, the connection between independent commissions and government or parliament. We saw the chairman of this commission not implementing certain decisions taken by the government, and parliament moves to a resolution and removes him from his position. What is the future of these commissions and the connection, the relationship that we see through the constitution for the legislature and commissions?
Now the 21st Amendment, it is very clear, the Constitutional Council, they had certain commissions. But PUSL Act 2002, Act number 35, very clearly say, the minister, agreement with the Constitutional Council only appoint the chairman. That's all. So Constitutional Council, they can't ask any type of report, his conduct or misconduct, that is totally different. Right. So under PUSL, when a commissioner or a chairman to be removed, section 7.1, certain certain reasons are there. Right. One is misconduct. Under that, you have to issue a charge sheet. Then that person will give answer for that, and it has to produce to the parliament. That parliament clear 113 votes needed. That is the procedure. But the problem, what is the conduct of PUSL? The PUSL conduct is very clear. They are a regulator. So that when they are doing that type of regulator surveillance, increase of utilities, basically electricity charges. Now what they say, they also have data, they say they can reduce 26%. But government say 3%. Now we all work for people. No? Even they say they can only give a recommendation, some type of a suggestion. Now these suggestions, once again, when the government proposal comes, he will put another counter proposal and then he take the public opinion, and thereafter finally you can come for a solution. So now we have to remember we are in a very strict economic position. And IMF loan, other things are there. So we have to set up the country into certain level. Up to that level, government has also a responsibility to reduce. They have reduced certain things, gas price, fuel prices, and electricity price, they have reduced. So they must come with a chart. So one person say 26%, another person say 3%, come for a mid. All right, the government can also say these are the slabs we are going to reduce. Rather than when we go for fighting with each other, then our objectives are not met. So what is the link with the parliament and the independent commission? When the independent commissions are working, they have the independence with their mandate. And also this mandate should not use for your personal gains. Now this PUSL, I have clearly saw a press conference done by the former chairman. Yes, I am coming for the president election. I am going to save the country. So that means what? If the independent commission's chairman is saying like that, after his retirement, people will think he had done everything for that moment. No. Anyone has the political rights. I am not denying, I am not thinking. But that was sometimes underhand, not underhand, he had that motivation also. Some independent commissions I have seen last time, even it was appointed in 2015, certain commission members are going against the commission recommendation. So that is not, we are all people, so we must give the guideline. Constitutional Council has a responsibility to make the guideline. Certain commission, there is an act. So you have to work according to act for the people, and also you put a report to the parliament. Every commission, the annual report, they submit to the parliament. So parliament, they can see and make certain type of recommendation. Now, this is where the Constitutional Council appoint only PUSL chairman, but the removal position is different. All the commissions are like that. So even you appoint, but even under Parliament Council also earlier, appoint done by the Parliament Council, but when you want to expel from the position, there must be a strict procedure. So my argument, independent commissions must work with their mandate. What is their mandate? It is very clearly given in the Act.
Right.
If you are following that mandate and Act rather than these talk shows, it is very, very important. Even do something for the country. That is where your duties.
Right. Moving on to talk about laws delays in Sri Lanka. You mentioned about investment, bringing investments, how we should ensure that these investments are protected, investor community is taken care of. I remember, I think I watched yesterday when the former president of the Bar Association and the current president talking about laws delays and the connection to the ease of doing business. But essentially, laws delays not just for ease of doing business, but about individuals who are entangled in land law issues, cases that run for over decades. You spoke about child abuse cases which drag for as long as the child is mature and is into marriage. So how do we quickly address this? Because this is something that I myself as a journalist has been talking about now for more than a decade, asking the same question from legal experts as you. So where is the delay in addressing these delays?
So one is investment laws, others are land laws, others laws related to children. Now let's see investment. You have a BOI, Board of Investment. Now Board of Investment, when a person come and invest, he is not aware about all these laws. He is connected to labor laws, dispute resolution, arbitration, if issues are coming like that. So what the BOI should be empowered. Now, Port City is there. So people come and invest. To encourage more and more investment, they must have a flexible one. So this is where important. You must have a Port City Commission as well as a BOI come together and study certain countries, as Singapore and other countries, how they give this flexibility, liberalization. So in that way, you can come for a very, very important one, only for, great economic areas were there. So some relaxation given. No trade unions like that. So when the trade unions are coming, people are not coming and investment. Even you have seen in the apparel industry, people are moving to Nigeria and other countries. That is where salaries, remuneration is high. So you have to look certain things and give the flexibility for that. But you should not violate the employment rights or labor rights of the people. When you come to the other side, land law, yes, partition cases are dragging for years and years. You have to abolish the current Partition Act, Section 12. If you take even certain amendments, you can come for the section which third parties come and intervene, and it will take a long time to deliver the judgment. So like shorter period, I don't know if you can finish that. And there are certain amendments are coming in future. And the other one, child abuse. Those child abuse laws, what you have to do, expedite these cases. From Sri Lanka, you can see more than 800,000 cases there in the magistrate courts pending. Now, how to, expedite those cases? So you need more and more judges. Say the judge population ratio. India, for 1 million, there are 50 judges, right? If you see Sri Lanka, we have only 15 judges. So that is a comparison I can give. So you have to set up more and more facilities for the judges and also set up separate courts. And also Sri Lanka, we don't have experts councils. Now in USA, privacy councils, employee council, like that. Whatever our lawyer, what we get, we do it. No, not like that. Experts should be there. And also we don't have the lawyers in other countries, they have to, renew their license. Now this country, once you give an oath, until your death, it is there. So you have to have a system like that. I'm not putting a restriction, but then they also make certain efforts to come up with other side of expertization in that. So these are some of the areas lacking.
Right. We don't have much time, but I'd also like to talk about your research interests and areas that you talk about: information technology, cyberbullying, as well as human rights law and international arbitration law. I have just about 5 minutes. If you can maybe give us an understanding of how we can proceed, especially in countering cyberbullying. A lot of young women, girls, and especially boys and men too are subject to this, and we see some ending in suicide. So it's heartbreaking to see that we don't have sufficient the social fabric or legal system to protect these individuals.
One is awareness, and the other one is implementation, and other one is complaining procedure. Now, cyberbullying, we don't have a separate act like India. India, year 2000 Information Technology Act, separately they are combating that computer crime as well as these type of offences under section 482, 485, like that. So, Sri Lanka, what will happen when cyberbullying is coming, you have to go and complain. Anything related to online or computers, CID, you have to complain, www.police.lk, or you have to send a letter. Then the CID will start investigation. But that power is not there for the local police stations around. They also refer that matter. Right. So what they do, they investigate and they arrest. But they have done good, cases they are involved. But some still they are actually propagating different things. So cyberbullying, child abuse, basically, if you go for the penal code, finally it will come to section 345. That is not enough harassment. But you must have strict laws. Well, strict laws means you have to introduce. Now, in future, it will come the Cyber Security Act, and the monitoring facilities will be given. I think Ministry of Defence also, they try to monitor how many people are involved in child abuse, and you want to arrest him. That power should be given. But surveillance on the other side, but freedom of expression also there. That is the biggest problem.
Your interest in information technology. Yeah. We are talking about aspirations for artificial intelligence here.
Yes.
How do we move ahead in ensuring proper laws to govern this industry?
That is the near future. AI, artificial intelligence, which is spreading everywhere, protecting the people jobs also one side, and also we will see a new newsreader next time when you come like Indeewari. This is not human Indeewari. It can be AI. Artificial. So you have to protect both sides. Certain things they can do, certain things they can't. But I think for the investigation, this is the best for the police. Investigation, monitoring, surveillance, we can use artificial intelligence, but we need professionals. The biggest problem, professionals are leaving this country, so we have to encourage them to stay here and do the future activities.
Couldn't we have used some sort of technology for obtaining compensation from disasters? We're talking about this dragging a lot of incidents circling the Express Pearl compensation. What do you think really happened there?
Yes. Now, Express Pearl, two governments were there when the case was filed earlier and not, but we were a little bit late. At that time, one thing, we have requested a ship which we know disasters and chemical. Number two, immediately after this environment issue, we have not taken action. But to take action, you have time period up to 2 years. But certain people say they have to go to Singapore or Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka also fundamental right cases filed. But action should take immediately. So that is where we need maritime laws as well as these type of environment hazardous situations to handle that. That's why you have an institution also. So their responsibility is that to take action as early as possible. If you delay, the laws delays like that, delay the compensation, or we may not get the company also bankrupt at the moment. So you have to run for the insurance, get that as much as possible. But there are other things are also coming. People that got commission, bribes, and also you have to investigate. Which came in the parliament. So
I don't think Sri Lanka can afford delays in terms of obtaining compensation.
Law-abiding citizens, we have to have a disciplinary way.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahanamahewa, for your time here. I think we were able to talk about as many topics as possible this time around in our conversation. So thank you once again.
Thanks.
We had with us Dr. Prathiba Mahanamahewa, a human rights activist, a former Human Rights Commissioner of Sri Lanka, a former professor in Jamaica, an attorney at law, and someone who is an activist for laws reforms in Sri Lanka. So thank you for joining us here at Hyde Park on AdaDerana 24. We'll see you again tomorrow, again with our regular lineup of discussions on AdaDerana 24. And next week at the same time at 7 p.m, that is at Hyde Park on AdaDerana 24. Good night.